What's up, everyone? Alex here, and welcome to my little corner of the internet. I want to talk about being Dragonkin, my dragon self, if you want to call it that. I discovered that I'm Dragonkin long before I discovered that I was plural. Dragons have always been like an intrinsic part of not really my identity, but also just a creature that I've been like fascinated with, especially like atypical designs of dragons. Specifically talking about like dragons with fur, dragons with feathers. Like, I've always loved dragons, and I didn't realize that it was because I was relating so heavily to them, and like, I don't know. Just growing up, that was always like a thing for me. So let's talk about my astral self. I'm using a lot of quotations here. I never know what to do with my hands. Usually I'm playing video games on YouTube, so I don't know what to do with these. So I experience astral shifts. That's normal. People call them phantom shifts, but I never liked calling them phantom limbs or phantom wings or phantom shifting. I call it astral shifting. I think it ties more into my spirituality, to be totally honest. I think that's where the preference of that kind of wording comes from. But astral shifts involving having ears, having a tail, wings. The tail and the wings, the biggest thing. Usually it's tied to my mood. Usually it's tied to what I'm doing at the time. I am very prone to astral shifting if I am in a very relaxed state, usually before bed, usually as I'm falling asleep. That's where I experience that a lot. And I take on an astral form in Headspace, meaning that I shift completely into some kind of astral dragon in order to enter Headspace and like interact there with my headmates, interact with the world, experience the world, travel through it. I don't have like a human form in Headspace. It's really weird. It's always been very draconic. I mean, my systemhood is based in trauma, I'm pretty sure. So it could be a coping thing. I'm not really sure, to be totally honest. Somewhere, I might be able to find it. Somewhere I started kind of doodling like what my astral dragon form looks like in Headspace. I started making like random digital pieces, just trying to, I guess, materialize what I see and what I experience. I can never specifically get what I'm thinking and feeling and seeing like into artwork. Like, I'm really bad at translating it. So my artwork is always very simple, always very abstract, I guess, but I do have a couple of drawings I did, if I can find them, just kind of like visualizing what I look like in Headspace as a dragon. For me, kind of a ghostly blue and purple, literal astral. It does not feel very solid. 4 legs, paw-like hands and feet rather than like claws like a typical dragon. Fur down the back, and I've always drawn myself, like if I ever like visualize myself as like a character or anything, usually it's green eyes. If I'm like making a character in a video game, I always go for green eyes. My eyes, I've found out, because I never knew, are hazel. But I've always gone with green eyes because, I don't know, I thought it looked really cool. My eyes are not blue and they don't normally look blue. They look more on the green side, if anything. But yeah, green eyes. And I can't tell if it's a manifestation of my ideal vision of my dragon self, or if it's literally that's what who I am. Never understood that. To be totally honest, I have never spent a lot of time in Otherkin spaces just because I need to be in a space that's so specific to my experience, and Otherkin is such a broad term, and there's so many experiences that I just don't relate to. So there's a lot of things like that I didn't realize were normal. There's a lot of things I experienced that I don't know how to talk about. So this kind of thing is actually very new to me. Talking about this, I've never thought I would ever tell anyone about this kind of thing. It's very weird. And I don't feel like I have people in my life that I can talk to about that kind of stuff. I don't know. Without being seen as like, wow, like, you're 31. Why is this a thing in your life? But I mean, it needs to be put out there, even if I don't have like the right language for the experiences. I at least want to talk about what it's like, what I feel, what I experience, because that's objectively true. These are things that I experience. These are things that I am. So there's nothing I can really do about, like, you can't really disagree or agree on identity, especially like this. I feel like I'm rambling so much. This series is a little bit harder for me, because it's something I never thought I'd go into detail about. When I did the identity talk videos, I talked about being Otherkin like one time ever. There was one video for it, and I was so vague about just talking about the identity, talking about experiences with it. Like, I wanted it to be palatable to people who might judge me for it, I guess, which is not the right way to go about this kind of channel. And I really need to unlearn, not really normalizing myself. I need to unlearn making myself easy to understand, because that identity is very complicated. It's very complex, and people experience some bizarre things, some strange things, some rare occurrences, rare experiences. Like, it needs to be talked about, I guess, even if it's uncomfortable. At least in my position. No one's going to be, like, coming after me, like, in the cafeteria for being who I am. Like, I'm in a position where I can talk about these things and just easily walk away and shut out people who will never want to understand. Like, people can send me hate or harassment, and then I can just block them and move on and continue talking about my experiences. There are people who don't have that, and there are people who need to be able to see that there's someone who's talking about it. There's someone who's normalizing it. I think that needs to be my position here, especially as, some kind of community leader. I don't know, at least in my niche, like, on my channel. Like, this is my channel. I talk about identity here, and, like, I need to be a leader for this channel and set an example, normalize the things that I experience, because there are going to be younger viewers who are looking to me for that kind of information, looking for topics that they can relate to, stories that they can relate to, and feel that someone out there is their ideal self. Someone out there is talking about the things they can't talk about. That was such a tangent. I was supposed to keep these videos short, but I went off on a tangent there. I think that was my way of convincing myself, like, just talk about the experiences. I can delete the video if it's that bad. I mean, I know once it's on the internet, like, that's a risk. It could be permanent, but I mean, I just have to deal with it and put it out there, because it could be helping somebody. Anyway, talking about my dragon self, when we talk about being otherkin, especially of an animal, sometimes there's animalistic tendencies. I don't think I have that. Not not that I am aware of. I am more human than feral, as in like animalistic. I know that a lot of the more animalistic or feral types of otherkin, those are the ones that tend to favor the Therian label for themselves, so they'll call themselves Therian. If I were more animal-like, if my dragon self were more animalistic, I would probably call myself Theriomythic, which is a mythical creature that is very animal-like or animalistic, with animal-like tendencies. Not the old definition, but one definition of Therian is like a real earth animal, whereas Otherkin can encompass like mythical creatures from folklore, characters and creatures, everything from like media. So Therian is probably more on that side of the spectrum, but that's not really where I fall, I don't think. I think I'm a little more anthropomorphic under that identity. I do have hoarding tendencies. I don't know if that's a dragon thing. I don't know if you can call it a dragon thing. Like lots of dragons hoard, and I hoard gemstones, literally. Kind of. It's more like I curate them. I'm kind of specific about the gemstones I collect. I don't just have tons and tons of rocks everywhere. It's pretty well organized. I guess your hoard can be organized, but I do have some hoarding tendencies if we're talking about instincts and behaviors coming from my kin type. And also, Stormy is the name of my dragon self, my dragon persona. That is who Stormy is. That's where I came up with the name. A dragon that is tied to the cosmos and to storms and weather and just like similar things like that. I like named it, and then I took on the name as like a nickname, so I use it everywhere. Like a lot of people on the internet call me Stormy, and that's where the name of this channel came from. When I was drawing my dragon self, that's where I came up with the name. If we're being totally honest, the like astral dragon form of myself, that came from a vision. I don't remember if it was from like meditation or if it was from like attempting to enter Headspace. But Stormy as like a moniker, as another name that I use, that's fairly new. I didn't grow up using that name or anything. I didn't know people named their kin type. Some people do. But yeah, that is actually who Stormy is. That's where that name comes from. Next week, I want to talk about euphoria in the context of being otherkin. That is something that I don't think a lot of people really talk about that outside of very specific otherkin circles, but euphoria and dysphoria regarding your kin type. I don't experience dysphoria in that kind of sense, but euphoria, I think so. So I want to talk about that. I thought that would be very interesting. And then the week after that, I want to start talking about being a system in detail, kind of in detail. I have a few videos from Identity Talk where I talked about being a system, having headmates, what that was like, but I want to go more into detail with that. So that's going to be this whole series, dragons and headmates. Anyway, I am signing off for now. See you later.